Hello friends, welcome to Squared Plans. I'm Stephanie and today we're going to be doing a flip through of my August after the pen spreads. I'll be showing you all of the major planners that I use here in my catch-all and just going through all of both the monthly and the weekly spreads, kind of giving you guys some insight into how I plan and how I use the spreads that I decorate. So if that sounds good to you, let's jump in. Like I said, this is my catch-all planner. I take my separate planners for each of the sections we're going to go through and I put them into this one planner and just use this throughout the month to plan. I find that this is really the only way I can do multiple planners, and it's just really easy to have everything at your fingertips. You can cross-reference if need be on certain things, and it's just a great way to plan in my opinion. Part of the beauty of the disc system is that you can take things in and out and really customize it. So that is how I'm currently using my planner, and I will jump in now, kind of give you a quick overview of how it's organized. So the first part of my planner is just some accessories. I have a pocket pages and some sticky notes, and then it jumps into my tasks tab, which is basically just a place for me to quickly write down things that come in, tasks or things that I want to do, and then helps me organize it in a way so that I don't lose track of what it is, and if I need to add it into my planner or into a different type of list that I just want to have reference for, I have that. So this has been really great. I have this task section, and then the next section I have is my goals section, where I just keep track of all of my goals from beginning to end, starting with my vision board all the way through projects and other items that I'm working on quarterly, annually, things like that. So this is my goals section. Then behind it I have a pocket folder. I used to use this as my dividing thing between this and the schedules, which is the different planners I have in my catch-all, but I did build a tab out for that. So now this is just in here so that I have a place to hold things and can have my pin loop. I find it really important to have my pin loops kind of on these pocket folders so I can move them around as needed. They don't work as well for me on the covers, so just having them on the pocket folders just makes it a little bit easier. So I have my pin loop with my friction pen, which I love to use. I know some people have told me that the friction pens give them a little bit of trouble when they're put in the heat. So just be mindful of that, but because I make so many mistakes, having the ability to erase and keep my planner looking clean has been a godsend for me, and I really don't think I could plan the way I do without the ability to erase like I can with these friction pens. So I really love those. It's a little shout out for those right now. Okay, so this is where we're going to talk about the flip through and all of the major planners that I have. So this is my schedule section, and it leads off with my year overview, which is just a perpetual calendar. I won't bother showing that to you, but then right after that perpetual calendar, it jumps right into the first major planner in my catch-all, which is my faith planner. My faith planner starts off with some pocket pages that I created just as a nice visual start to the planner section, and I just really love the kind of calming idea of this. I did do a video. If you're interested, just look for pocket pages on my channel and you should be able to find it. I did it a little bit over a year and a half ago, I think, so it was really just a nice project. And then on the back here, this is kind of like an ugly page, but I have frankenplanned a undated vertical planner that was a faith planner from the Happy Planner with my own personal printables from my Etsy shop in the quadrant layout, which you're going to see in a minute. So I just wanted to have something kind of pretty to look at in the morning, and so I had this beautiful planner, which this is the planner that I actually am using here, the Grace Upon Grace. It was a box set, undated, like I said, and it had all these beautiful dividers and currentlies. However, I don't do very well planning vertically. This style of planning straight down the page just really doesn't work for me. So I decided to frankenplan it with my printables, so I'm using just the currentlies and the dividers out of that planner, and then putting it in with my own inserts so that it's a little more functional for me. For August, this was how my currently page turned out. I added some washi and a few stickers, but mainly this is a pretty functional spread for me. I do use all the sections almost exactly how they're listed, except for here it says birthdays, and I just usually cover that up and extend my prayer list into things that, these are like my personal things I want to pray for, and these are for praying for other people and things that I'm praying for others. So that's usually the only difference from how it's already currently set up. And this is just like how I turned out. I go through the currently throughout the month just when the moment, arises and I feel like the need to fill in the questionnaire here on the side, makes sense for me, and I'm in the mood to do it. So that's what I do there, and then just kind of sit here every morning. This is kind of the first thing I look at, so it's really nice to have this little moment of visual interest, and then do my prayer with my prayer list ready at hand. So this is the very first spread. I put a tab in here. My tab's already been moved into the next month, but faith overview is what I call this section. So I just flip right to it and I go through my entire catch-all using these top tabs. If you're new to my channel, this is pretty much how I organize my entire planner, using my top tabs here. And so for each of the major sections we're going to go through, I have 3 tabs. I have usually one that's kind of like a specialty tab depending on the planner itself, and then I'll usually have a monthly tab in the middle and a weekly tab on the outside here. So it's really easy for me to quickly flip through to the months or to the weeks that I need to get to, or the specialty sections. And then if there's something that's a little bit out of the ordinary, like this year overview is on the very outside, as well as these habits, those are kind of like on the very 4th tab, but mostly they're organized through here. I don't tend to just flip through each page. I just go right to the tab that I need, and that is how I navigate this planner. Makes it super easy. So this would be considered my faith overview section, and then we would get into my monthly. So this is the monthly layout, and this here for August, I decided to do a reading challenge, if you will, called 31 Amazing Words. So I just found this on Pinterest, and if you are interested in this, do check out my Faith August setup video. I include the link to what I used and like how I decorated the entire month out at once, and you can use that to kind of see what you're looking for. So what I did on this is I ended up penciling in all of the words and their verses ahead of time, and then each day I would sit down and actually pin it in and erase the pencil marks so I knew I did it. That was kind of how I was keeping track of my progress throughout the month, and I think it went really well. Some of the words, I will say, were a little bit abstract, like I couldn't quite tell how that word related to the verse. Sometimes that happens when I just grab random challenges off of Pinterest. You never know, how much people, how much research they did, but overall it was good, and it was just kind of nice to do a little extra reading that was a little more focused every day and just listen to what God had to tell me. So that's how this turned out, and I think it was really cute. And then here is the next spread in my faith planner. So the rest of these will be weeklies, and like I said, it's a quadrant layout from my shop. I've done the whole year already mapped out, printed, so each month is set up in the same way with those frankenplan dividers and currentlies, and then these quadrants. For the first week of August, what I did was I actually took one Arteza pen, which is a twim marker. I got a big set of these last year, I think, 100, and so I can pick pretty much any color I really want to match up with the theme. So what I did is I picked out 4 colors that go with the 4 spreads I ended up doing for the month, which you'll see as we go through. Normally I will pick 2 colors and use those throughout the month with black. So like for example, if this was the theme, I would pick maybe like blue and maybe peach or pink, and then with black, and then I would alternate those colors throughout the month. But I did something a little different this month, and I really liked how it turned out, mainly because I kind of centered each weekly spread around a color. So I just picked one color and black for each week, and that kind of like themed out the whole week in that color scheme. So this is how the very first one turned out, and I'll go ahead and flip to the next, talk a little bit more about the actual lettering. Aside from those twin markers, I also have been using 2 other black pens. The brush pen that I use is this Tombow Fudonosuke hard tip brush pen. It's really nice for small brush lettering, especially if you're a beginner. I'm still learning and I don't have a lot of formal training in brush lettering, so having this kind of harder tip and really fine abilities to do heavy and thin strokes really makes it easier for me, especially with the smaller space. I started off with like a Tombow dual tip, something like this, but these are so much bigger. The bristles are way bigger than the Fudonosuke, so it made it really hard to do small brush lettering in here, and it's a lot softer, so control was a factor as well. If you are interested in brush lettering, especially like in your planner like I'm doing, highly recommend this guy. You can see how much smaller the brush tip is, but you can still get that thick, thin line and get some practice in. Okay, so I've been doing that, and I've also been using this Micron, Pigma Micron, and a 03 size for the black. I was using the twin marker, one of these guys before. It's just in black. However, I've already ran through one 100%, and then this one here too was starting, I felt like, to run out of ink. So I wanted to save it since I only had 2 at my disposal. So since I use so much black, I decided just to use this Micron instead, and it has a very nice felt tip. And this pen is highly recommended by a lot of planner babes who like to use felt tip markers in their planner. So I really like it. It's very clean and precise. So it's a really good one, and I use that, like I said, for this smaller black lettering. So this is how the second one turned out, and like I said, I've been matching the colors with the theme of the week on this particular month. So this is the final output of that. And then the next week I used that blue tone and I tried to match it up. The one that I grabbed was a little bit brighter than the tones that I had as far as the ink color, but I think it matches pretty well. I think I did a pretty good job matching up those pens. And like I said, practicing my brush lettering. I use a app called YouVersion Bible app, and it just feeds in a verse of the day every day into the app. And I also use that same application to read the Bible, read any scriptures I have for the monthly. I have a daily reading that I do as well, like a program that's kind of set in the app. So I just have to go to each day and listen or read the daily passage, and that takes me through the Bible in a year. So I've been doing that, and that's just kind of how I have it set up. But it's a really great app. So if you're looking for, like I said, some ways to get into faith planning, getting something like that that's really simple and can help guide you to verses or plans to help you get more into the Bible, it's a really good app. Not affiliated in any way. I just really, when I found it, I just found it to be very useful and handy and well made. So here is how the third week turned out. And then finally the fourth week here, when I do my verse lettering, I try to vary the fonts and the styling on each one. Also, I try to give an interpretation of the verse through the lettering the best that I can. That really helps me kind of cement what I'm reading in my mind, and also makes me think a little bit harder about what I'm reading and, its own application to my life as well. So that's what I do. And then, like I said, I vary the fonts and the styling as much as I can. And some of them I just kind of have in my repertoire. Sometimes I'll look for inspiration from other sources. In that app, they usually have little like visual squares that you would put like on Instagram or something of the verse. Sometimes I use those as inspiration and try to find some way to replicate that in my planner. So this is the end of the August week, and I have this notes page on the back that I don't really use. What I've decided to do is that I will be sticking down the currently pages to the back of those going forward. I wasn't really doing that before as far as sticking down those currently pages, but I think that's going to be best since I'm not going to be able to reuse the currentlies, whereas I can reuse the dividers. So that's what I'll be doing going forward. But so that way it doesn't matter if I'm not using that. You won't really see it. It'll just be the currently page for the following month. Okay, so since I'm all done with that, I'm going to go ahead and move these guys out. And I'll split this up because it feels a little thick. I've already put in all of September, I think. Let me double check that. I might have only put in a few weeks because at the end of the month, trying to put in more than a month at a time starts to get really bulky in my planner. So I tend to, oh yeah, I do still have pages in here. I tend to have only like a few, what I immediately need in the planner until I can do this flip through video and move stuff out. But this actually needs to be moved in, which I will move in now. Okay. So I'm going to have, like I said, that all set up. And we're ready to go into the next section, which is my daily section. So my daily section starts off with what I call my daily schedules, and it's just a quick little overview of some routines that I do and a like master weekly schedule. So I have this morning routine, which I have not been following because my wake up time has totally shifted, but I hope to get back to this morning routine. And then I have this master week of like my ideal week, how everything would go and where I would, be doing certain things. So this is a nice reference when I just need a little guidance on where I should be for the day and what I need to be focusing on. I kind of know it by heart by now, but sometimes it's just good to go back and be like, oh, I should have been done with that already. I forgot about that. So that's really nice. And then I also have this other version, which is a block schedule, a little more loose than the regimented ideal schedule, but gives you kind of a framework to work off for your day. I do have videos on all three of those routines in my productivity series. It's called Routine Building. It's the main thumbnail and the title. So if you're looking for that, do check out that video and how I went about setting each one up. Okay, so now we're back into the daily part of the planner sections, and I'm using my insert from my Etsy shop. This one is the horizontal layout, and I used a combined planner, so I have both the monthly and the weeklies in here. So for the first spread, I have my monthly layout, and what I've been using my monthly layouts for in this part of my planners in the daily is for like a memory each day. So I just write down something that happened each day. So it kind of helps break up the monotony of my routine and just kind of, pick something out of the day that's unique that I can focus on and remember as time passes. So I just use pen right now. The stickers and the decor here were all set up ahead of time, so that was kind of predetermined, and then each day I was just filling it in as I went. I thought this one was really cute. I did kind of like a summer collage theme here at the top, kind of raining down since it was pretty much the end of summer. I've had more appointments that I've needed to keep track of, so I started using the sidebar for that and then doing kind of a little bit of a color code of when those appointments are so that I can reference and remember which days without encroaching upon the space I'm using for the memory keeping. Before, I would say July, August, I really didn't have much going on, but suddenly I've become very busy with events and appointments. So having this sidebar kind of be more functional for me has been working really well. And just kind of this reference, because I still want to keep this memory keeping thing going on in my planner throughout the year at least, just so I have a full year of this kind of style. But again, like I said, I did have some things I needed to just have a quick reference for, so I've been using the sidebar for that. This is how it turned out. I really liked it actually, and again, I'm using the Micron pen for this part of the planner. I usually will pencil in whatever I want to put in and then trace it with the Micron and erase the pencil. I really don't trust myself, which is why I use friction pens, but when I can't, or when I want something a little different, a little bolder, then I use the pencil with the overlay of the felt tip pens, and that seems to work for me. So here is the first week in my daily horizontal, and again, I do a lot of decorating, so I will do, you know, a plan with me before the pen, and then I'll use it functionally throughout the week. But I do like having it visually interesting to look at. It just helps me to be in here more and more focused on it. I've just found that pretty spreads really help me to plan better. So that is how this week turned out, and I decided to do kind of like a planner discs and florals theme, which is really nice. I tend to put a focus box, I call these focus boxes, on each day, and then I'll have a checklist of to-do items as well on each day with a little decor, and that can show up in various ways, which you'll see, but that's pretty standard for me as far as my daily planning, how each thing will look. Then I also use this bottom section a lot for weekly tasks that don't fit in on a specific day. And then here is the second week, and this week I decided just to keep it kind of light and floral and softer. I was hoping to get a little bit more green out of the spread, but it tended to fluctuate towards the pink a little bit more, but overall I really did like the kind of calming, peaceful look on the sky. I did have a lot to do, and so usually if the spread is kind of nice and serene, it helps me not get too anxious over all the things I had going on. But yeah, so this is how the second week turned out, and like I said, tends to have the focus boxes on each day. If there's not a focus box, sometimes I'll just do like a little focus section, kind of, you know, focus in on it if I need one. But I use the focuses for appointments or events that are day specific, as well as anything that I need to call attention to. And this was a fun one. This one was for a plannable challenge. The plannable challenge is just a monthly group of themes that we provide on a weekly basis, or let's say a weekly themes that we provide on a monthly basis, I should say, where you can kind of follow along with us and do a theme in your planner. So this week's theme was coloring is fun, and I decided to do it here on this spread with some washi tape and made some crayons out of it with some other inking techniques and some stickers, but I think it turned out super cute. Just kind of like a softer rainbow feel, which I always like. Bright rainbows, softer rainbows, those always just, you know, it feels good when I look at them. They feel like right. So this is a good spread, and this one was very functional. I had everything in line, so it felt orderly, and I was very focused for the week. This was a good one. And here is the last week I have for August, and this one I decided just to use my pressed floral sticker book from the Happy Planner, and basically it was a one sticker book theme, and I just was in the mood for it, so I did. I kind of brought in some pinks and corals and yellows and finished out the summer month here with those feels. Again, really functional. I did do a little side long box here for more weekly tasks, as well as in this area, and then I have my focus boxes and all that in here as well. But like I said, every day tends to have the same setup, but I do vary how the decor lays in around it depending on the spread. And okay, so that's how that one turned out, and that is the end of the daily weeklies. And then what I did, since I have the ability to customize my planner using printables, is there is a habit tracker insert as well in my shop, and I decided instead of having just a blank background page of notes here that I didn't really know what to do with, I put a habit tracker on the back of every month and use that throughout the month to just track some things that, you know, I wanted to kind of keep up on, and it's really helpful. I color code it and use this Friction 4-color pen that I have as well. This is in my Amazon shop if you're looking for it, as well as probably down in the description below if you are looking for this particular pen, but it's erasable. All these inks are erasable, and I have 4 colors to choose from. And I use that here on my habit tracker so that I can kind of easily see the groupings of things that I'm tracking. So I color code it that way, and I don't have to have different pens. I can just easily just flip from one to another. But yeah, so I use these just again to keep track of habits, things that I want to do spiritually, and then like this is more like health, this is more like fitness, and then this is just things maybe like for personal growth, I would say. So that is the end of that section of my catch-all. So we've gone through 2 planners so far. I'm going to go ahead and move in the leftover pages because I'm pretty sure, oh, did I move everything in on here already? Oh, I did. So I have all the pages in here already for the month of September, and I have again everything divided up, month, week. I have the habits again for the end of that, and this one I'm going to go ahead and move out. So this is where all of the months actually live with all of my daily inserts for the year. So here I'm going to go to August tab, and stick those in. And like I said, I only really plan out of this planner, the catch-all, throughout the entire month. And this just stays on my desk, kind of in the corner there, and every month I just do this switch out. So this makes it easier for me, like I said, to have everything there in one spot, and I don't have to keep opening up different planners. So I'm going to go ahead and move this guy back out. And then we will jump ahead to the next section, which is my health section. So I begin my health section with another kind of pocket pages, visual interest looking thing. Created this off camera, so I don't have a video specific to it, but you can kind of see the process in the Faith version that I had in the front. Again, just look for pocket pages and you can get an idea of how I built this out. This one was mainly used with stickers from the Healthy Hero sticker book that came out like 3 years ago, and just some other random stickers. And then I also, on the back of it, cut up a divider that I had in my stash and used the quote from it in the back. So that's how that one was set up. And then it gets into my health trackers. My health tracker section, the very first part, starts off with this insert I created near the beginning of the year with my health goals, and also has like a weights and measurements tracker on the inside that folds out. And then on the back I also have like a weight countdown sheet. Things, you know, I had big plans for this year. It's not going as quickly as I'd hoped. So I'm not going to go ahead and show you guys where I'm at this time around, but maybe in the future I will. But it's been a kind of a rough year as far as weight loss and just maintaining my health. Half of it is COVID, you know, and then not being able to go to the gym, but, you know, just discipline as well. So I have this here to kind of help remind me and help kind of keep me focused on where I want to go, even though the progress is slow. And then I have like an insert in here as well that I made just from a plan, a dietary plan that I was following for a little while there, and I still kind of am, but just not as rigid. And then I also have just like one of my routines that I grabbed off the internet and wanted a quick reference for. I just kind of stuck it to the back. So it's just a place for me to have some health related items that I might need reference for on the fly real quick here in the front. So next we get into the main planner section of my health planner. And in here I have the health layout from my shop for the weeklies. And in the monthly, I'm using a lined monthly layout. The monthly overview, which like you're seeing here, I use to track some of the chronic illnesses that I have, just like how I'm feeling. This top part is where I track medications that I'm taking and just keep track of that. And then this month I actually did a tally of each of those medications. I could kind of see how, how much I'm taking. I'm trying not to do too much with medications, trying to, keep up with supplements and vitamins and things. So that's just a really good way for me to, at a glance, keep track. And I've been doing this pretty much the entire year. And then, like I said, I write in just kind of how I'm feeling, symptoms, maybe external things that are going on, like weather and things tend to affect me. So I just keep track of all of that in here. And then I've been writing in some goals each month that honestly I really don't look at. I kind of set it up and forget it. But it's still good to have them there just in case, when I'm writing in one morning I glance over and be like, oh yeah, I was supposed to be focusing on that and I'm not. So it's just good to have that in there. But like I said, I'm using the lined monthly from my shop in this case just to help me write a little bit cleaner, because I'm kind of squeezing in a lot of information into this like little daily section. I do tend to write a little bit messy, and so having those lines just helps keep things look a little bit more orderly than if I didn't. And also, as far as decorating, I do very minimal decorating on these spreads. I don't do it on camera. I just, on a whim, I'll just grab, like here, I just grabbed some washing and laid it in and just grabbed some pens and decided that's what we're going to do. And that's it. Some turn out okay, some not so much, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just using it as a place to hold this information. So here is how the first week of my health planner went. This spread was for the Plannable Challenge, and I believe it was Wild Summer was the theme. So this was my take on that as far as decorating, and I really liked the spread a lot. It came out super cute. I use the sidebars for goals for the week, and then I usually have some habits I'm tracking and my water, which is part of the actual insert. At the top is where I usually decorate most of the time and keep a spot for my workouts each day. That's what I have there. Then I have my food log with my total calories and then my stats at the bottom. So this one, like I said, was a really cute one, and I enjoyed the look and feel of this all week. This next one was also a Plannable Challenge, and I believe this one was Copper Tone Tan was the theme. I struggled a bit with this as far as coming up with the theme. If you want to see more about that, you can check out the Plan With Me video before the pen. But overall, I think it turned out cute as far as the color scheme and things. Maybe not too specific to the copper tone theme, but sort of. Just this one was a little bit more old school Stephanie setup with, none of the boxes being kind of combined, just the top boxes being workouts, this middle section being kind of like my goals, focus, decor section, and then again with the food and the calories and the stats at the bottom. Same setup here in the sidebar as well. So this was the third week of the Plannable Challenge, and I'm sorry, of the month, and I didn't do the Plannable Challenge in my health this time. This is when I did the daily weekly. This one I just wanted something that wasn't floral. I just wanted something a little bit fresh and decided to do this mermaid in training theme, which was a hit, honestly, on Instagram. You guys really thought this was cool. I really enjoyed it a lot. It came out better than I expected because I had so few stickers to work with, but it really worked out, and I had the ability to still keep it very functional. Had my workouts here at the top. Like I said, I use the decor mainly here. Saturday's my rest day, so that makes it a little bit easier to add a little bit of decor here up on Saturday. And then I had my food log, stats, same setup like I said. So this one was really cute, and I'll kind of shift it a little bit. You guys can see a little bit of the gold. So a really good one, I thought. And then this last one was one I did not get a chance to do a before the pen on. I did put it down into my YouTube community tab so you guys could see the before the pen, even though I did not do a video. I was just really inundated the last week of August, and I had worked really hard to get all my Etsy listings for 2022 up into my Etsy shop. So this, I just didn't get a chance to post it so you guys could see. And I guess that's the same for the very last daily week, if I recall correctly. Oh, I already moved it out. So you might not have seen the before the pens for those last dailies and then this one here. But this one was also for a plannable challenge. All the school things was the theme. So what I ended up doing was actually putting a background of like school related collage items. I just searched for this on Pinterest for like free printables, school doodles or something like that, and found this guy and then just printed it, cut it out, and then I used stickers on top of it in order to kind of keep it functional, like I said, and put in my workouts, doing sort of a rainbow across the spread to keep it looking cohesive because there's a lot going on. I really liked how this one turned out a lot. Like I said, rainbow themes tend to really go over well with me, and it's hard to go wrong with the rainbow theme. And keeping it bright and fun here in my health planner really energizes me to do better. So that's how the week turned out, and I really enjoyed it. And finally on the back, so for my health planner, I do use this notes page for my monthly stats. So I just do kind of like a bullet journal setup of monthly stats, put in some goals for the month and my daily averages goals, and then each month I go through, and I have an app on my phone called Health View that really helps me see this stuff at a glance. I write in how I did on these major categories, pretty much related to the stats that I track every day. So this just gives me a nice overview of how the month went and where I can improve for the next month, or where I did well. Mostly I get between 4 and 5 goals met. I still struggle a lot with getting my actual 10,000 steps each day. It's just always hard for me to do. 4 to 5. 5 is usually a pretty good month. This month I kind of dropped the ball a little bit on my exercise, but just do a quick setup of this. I keep it the same, just change the color every month, and that is how it turned out. So that's the end of my health, and again, I have all of this stuff already kind of preset for the health going forward for the next couple weeks. I do need to add in the rest of the weeks for September. And this is the planner I'm using here for holding all of my inserts for my health. Let's go to September. And if you want to know more about my actual setup of all of these different yearly planners that I have, the ones I keep on my desk, I did do a setup back in December. So check that out. That would be my lineup and setup videos from December 2020. Oh, actually, I need to keep that open. And let me move in my August months. Getting down to it. So, like I said, I've already put in the tabs for September. So we're just going to jump right on in to the last section we'll go through, which is my social. For my social planner, I use the dashboard Homebody layout from the Happy Planner. So it's, I think, called Homebody Seasons or something like that, the planner itself. and I got that at the end of 2020, and I'm using that. I used a similar layout for all of 2020, so I just kind of kept that same routine because it was very functional for me. It starts off here with the perpetual calendar, which I use to track all of my followers and subscribers each day on YouTube and Instagram. And this is the Instagram column in blue and YouTube is in black on here. Just write in as it changes. I just look at it each morning and write down whatever follower count is for the day. So that is my special section here for my social. And then we jump into the first layout, which is a monthly layout from that planner, which I use to schedule out all of my posts for Instagram and YouTube for the month. I keep these spreads pretty functional. I don't really do any decorating, which is why I picked this planner. The planner is pre-decorated, which makes it a lot easier for me. I don't have to really worry about that, and it's still nice to look at. So that's where I focus in on the monthly, mainly just the functionality of it. And like I said, I put in what my plan is for the entire month. I set this up at least 3 weeks in advance. So September will be set up probably in a week or two so that I just have a nice overview of what's to come going forward for the month of September. And as I go through the month, I cross off each day, and if there's a change, I'll usually use my red pen using my 4-color here to, denote the change, or if there's anything I need to stand out, I will put it in red as well. I also will put in the plannable challenge themes here on the sidebar just so I have a quick reference for them, and that's pretty much it for this spread. Like I said, very minimal decor. So here is the first layout for the weekly spreads, and I'm using a dashboard layout for my social. It just has worked out really well for me. I keep this as kind of my to-do section. I have like things I want to do throughout each week. Just make sure that I touch points that I need to do for the week. So I have that there. Any kind of highlights here. I grid out this section with followers and subscribers again, but also show the change in subscribers each day. So it's just a way for me to keep track of that. I like to see this on the weekly basis as well as on the perpetual calendar for the entire year, so I can compare month to month, as well as just like how I'm doing on a daily basis, the variations and the fluctuations. On this side, what I do is I use this top box for videos of the week, and I made a little sticker that I use just for personal use that kind of helps me track where I'm at in the video making process for the videos I plan to post. Then I have my Instagram posts and my YouTube videos here in the boxes, but mainly it's Instagram posts and then any subsequent posting that I usually will do in my stories or on Pinterest, things like that, I will put underneath that individual post so I can kind of keep track. So this is how the first week turns out, and I really like this theme. I was just in the mood for some washi. Again, I don't video this plan with me setup. I just kind of sit down and come up with it on the fly, and again, sometimes it turns out cute and sometimes it doesn't. But that's okay. This one I thought turned out really cute, and the color scheme was really fun and vibrant. So this was the second week, and for this week I went kind of farmhouse feels, but just like a little bit, softer, more neutral tones, and I really liked how this turned out. The setup does not really change that much from week to week, like I said, so where things are going on the spread stays the same. And so I just kind of build the decor thinking about that, and like I said, on the fly. Here I just used some actual pages from a dictionary that I've had. This is the same page that I used in a spread that got some feedback about people feeling hurt when they saw me rip some pages. This is the exact same page. I haven't ripped any new pages out, just so you know. But I just do think it adds some texture to the spread, and I really like how it turned out. and I am covering a little bit of the decor, but I think I kind of worked it in as well on the spread a little bit so it wasn't so distracting. On the previous spread, I pretty much had to cover it all so it wouldn't affect the look and feel of the theme, but this one I kind of was able to work in a little bit because the colors weren't clashing with the theme I wanted to do. And here is the third week, and again, I did some covering on some of the decor, not too much. This one, I was still in the kind of farmhouse feels, but I think I did more modern farmhouse here. This one was okay, more about the pinks and the greens and the washi tape more than anything else. And I do like to color coordinate the highlighters I use for my checkboxes here with the theme just so that everything feels kind of cohesive. But again, it's all the same content that you're going to see there. And this was the week, I guess, that I did not have time to actually post those videos and things. So some things did not happen according to plan. I just crossed them off on this week. And then this was the very last week, and this week I decided to just kind of embrace the decor that was already there and kind of work with that. And I liked how this one turned out, actually. It was very serene feeling, even though not a lot of decor was added. Just enough, I think, to kind of give it a little bit of personality. Like I said, same setup each week. Yeah. So that is it for that week, and then on the back with the currently pages, I just kind of track my monthly growth between the previous month and the month that just passed, and I set myself up with some goals that are just kind of based off of how much I'm growing, currently in my channels. And then if there's anything else I want to keep track of, I'll sometimes use this section here, but that's basically it. I've moved in September, so I think I can just move this guy out. Looking forward to next month's theme. It's got like fall colors, and I think I'm going to really like that. So let me just go to September. Let me pull this out actually. Put that in and move this guy out. So make sure you guys aren't getting any sneak peeks here. Put in the rest of the pages. And like I said, I will move out all of August here. So that is my social media planner. And then at the back, let's flip it really quick. So at the back of my catch-all here, I have one more section that I think I alluded to for financial things. So I have my Etsy sales, which is just another perpetual calendar from my shop, my Instagram shop, and another lined monthly that I use for my budget, and it's just a monthly layout. And then once I'm done with that, it goes into my reference section, which just has some tabs. I don't think there's anything on the back of that. Yeah. So this is the layout for my monthly that I use on my budget. And then in the very back, like I said, I have some tabs here for just long-term storage items that I might need to reference. And then another pocket pages, or pocket folder, excuse me. And some note paper. So that is how my planner is currently set up, and all of my after the pen spreads for August. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below. Go ahead and leave me a comment if you'd like to get in touch, and think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, if you'd like to see more of my videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Bye!